Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, joined by Terry today for technically the first of our 2020-2021 season content. 1920 seasons in the past now. We've uploaded all the player reviews to the channel at this point, so definitely go check them all out after this video. We're looking ahead now, first pre-season friendly of the season, coming up against Blackpool on Saturday. At the time of recording, it is Thursday, so we are going to talk briefly about the transfer window so far. As of right now, no one's been signed. Nothing's happened yet. Obviously, a bunch of rumours, so we're not going to go into that for too much detail. Obviously, the club announced a while ago, or the Liverpool Echo really announced that the club are going to be looking to stage a couple of behind closed doors friendlies against clubs fairly local. Obviously, as we know, no fans can obviously go to games until October. I'm not sure if it is going to be streamed on the Everton website, isn't it? Of course, we're not an advert for the club. I'm not going to go into detail about that. But kind of starting off, Terry, I mean, obviously there has been no business so far. We literally haven't done any deals yet. But what have you kind of thought about? How do you think the club have kind of done so far from what we've heard from rumours kind of going into this new season so far?
Well, transfer-wise, it feels very much like we're going into Plan B now, doesn't it? Like Plan A was very much Gabriel and Højbjerg, would have slotted straight in up the spine of the team. And of course, we've been effectively knocked back twice by the player for different clubs, like Højbjerg with Tottenham and seemingly Gabriel with either Napoli or Arsenal. I mean, you hope he goes to Napoli. They're not in our league and what have you. So we've moved on to targeting centre midfielders, and I think a lot of people will agree that seemed the most pressing area of the team to fix. When the season ended, it was like the rest of the team, there was areas that needed improving, but nowhere as urgently as centre midfield. And we, if you're to believe the rumours, and there's plenty of reason to believe, the rumours that we're in for both Allen and Abdoulaye Doucouré. So 2 midfielders. I mean, everyone was. I think a lot of people thought, we'll get at least 1, but 2. I think there was a little bit of, people weren't sure whether we'll prioritise, other parts of the squad, just get the 1 centre midfielder. But whatever you think of the players who've been chosen to be targeted, I think signing 2 midfielders is needed because you just slot 1 straight in there. There's no guarantee that they're gonna fix the problem completely, and then you don't know whether they're going to get an injury or whatever. At least if you've got 2, if one struggles, like say Allen struggles to adapt, or one picks up an injury, you've still got the other one, and then of course you've got Gbamin to come back. So I'd like to have got it done early. I think everyone would have preferred this to have been done by now, but I don't think you can, in good conscience, blame the club, because they wanted 2 other players and they've moved on quickly onto 2 different players, and we've only been gone a few weeks, so just feels like it's a quick turnaround, because it has been, because we've gone straight back into pre-season. But if we can get both these deals done in the next week, then we've still got the bulk of pre-season with 2 brand new players who are both likely going to go into the team.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, the club, there was obviously very public interest that we were going for Gabriel from Lille. Clearly hasn't come off. Sounds like he's off to Arsenal now. Disappointingly, that seems like that's his destination. Another player that we kind of missed out on, there was rumours, I'm not sure we were really in from Anthony Robinson, obviously today joined Fulham on a permanent deal, but obviously no business done as of yet. I'm not going to say it's business, but obviously there are some players coming back into the team. We're going to now look ahead to the game. Blackpool last season, just going off my table here, obviously we're not big Blackpool kind of fans. We don't know anything really about the club. Ben Gimmy was rumoured to be going on loan there. That obviously hasn't been tied up yet, I don't think. But obviously there is a link there with the club. By the time the season ended last year, they had played 35 games, finished on 45 points, 13th in League One, mid-table side. Obviously, but pre-season, it's anyone's game, really. There are players coming back, like John Joe Kenny, Besic and Balassi are in training. In your opinion, well, not really your opinion, Terry, but who do you kind of want to see playing? Obviously, we're not going to go straight for the kind of, main starting 11. As we know, the club have announced Holgate and Delph are back in training. Yerry Mina and, of course, Gbamin are still injured, so they obviously won't feature, but Holgate and Delph definitely do seem to be back. Are there any kind of players that people might not expect that you're kind of looking to maybe start on Saturday?
don't know about start. I mean, I think pre-season games, people see, hope to glean like tactical insight off them, like how are we going to play, what formation is it, what partnerships are we going to try. Just from watching over the years, you never seem to get any of that. That all sort of must go on in the training grounds, and then the actual friendlies are just fitness exercises, like get people, the players. I wouldn't read too much into players who don't start and those who do, because let's be honest, if Besic starts, it won't be because he's going to start the season with us. He's very unlikely to. It'll just be because some of the other centre midfielders, might be a little bit close to the red zone with their fitness and what have you. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to see John Joe Kenny, because as things are at the minute, he is being planned to be used, going into the season. Obviously things can change if bids come in for him. We're getting linked with right backs and what have you. But, this should theoretically be a John Joe Kenny that's the highest his stock's ever been. Since he's been at the club, he's just gone out. He had a successful loan in Germany with Schalke. He's coming back to a brand new, manager, brand new formation. This is key for him. I'm sure John Joe Kenny would prefer to stay and, be the right back for Everton rather than go out and sign for somebody else. He's a local lad. He's never Evertonian. But now's his chance. He's got to stake his claim. If he gets minutes in the pre-season, he's got to show that he can cut it in that very specialised position in the team. Like the right back is it's not a conventional, right back in this Carlo system. It's right back / third centre back, and it's just about whether he can do it. So I'll be keeping an eye on him more than anyone else, to be honest, if he gets on the pitch.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said there about you can't really actually gain much from tactics. I mean, was it last year? Was it Mainz that we went to and we started with a 3 in midfield with Delphi, and then he got injured and we never saw it again under Marco Silva? Where was it we went last year on that weird tournament thing? Do you remember? It was like an hour game or something. It was really weird. And
two back-to-back hour-long games, I think it was, and that just sums it up, that they're just fitness exercises. They're not real matches, not really. Yeah. I think all the fringe players, I don't even mean the fringe players who, fringes of our squad. I mean, like the players who are probably going to be asked to leave. I think Balassi and everyone else, they'll all, and don't know whether Sandro's back or not, but Balassi and what have you, they'll all play, I think, just to get their fitness up and get, anyone who's watching them gets a chance to look at them before they make the decision. Niels Nkunku, why not? See if he can do it. See what he's like, because Jared Brandtwaite surprised everyone. I'd love Nkunku to, to get a chance in the first team and then suddenly, play a blinder like Brandtwaite has. No, Brandtwaite, no one would have considered him a realistic option going into this season, if not for those lockdown games. And all of a sudden, he's he's in people, he's on people's tongues now. That's what the opportunity is for any young players who get on the pitch, be it Ellis Sims, Lewis Gibson, who unfortunately seems to have fell a little bit back down the pecking order from Brandtwaite. But I think we'll probably see Gibson as well. I don't know. I mean, all the first teamers, I just want to see the real key first teamers probably wrapped up in cotton wool. Like I don't want Richarlison hurting himself or anyone like that. Luca Dean, gently, because it's going to be a lot of games coming up and not much preparation time. So I'll be happy losing 10-0 if we don't get a single injury or fitness issue.
Yeah, I agree, because obviously the friendlies are going to be quite an important chance for the club to kind of open up their shop window, really. We know the club, there's not loads of money to be spent at the moment. They do clearly need to offload a lot of the dead wood, like Besic, Sandro. Obviously, but we haven't actually seen Sandro in any of the pictures yet, have we? So no one really knows where he is. Obviously, we know Balassi's back. So it'll probably be an opportunity to put those players in the shop window, as I said, looking to potentially sell them on it. It'll be an opportunity for players, like you mentioned, like John Joe Kenny. Obviously, there's only so much that can be learned on the training ground, whether he can fit into that very, as you mentioned, specialised right-back system. When you become the third centre-back, it'll be a lot more telling in an actual game of football, whether he can fit that role. But obviously, there's not too much we can really say. I mean, most of the time in friendlies, half the squad gets subbed off at half-time. There's not too much detail we can really go into that. I agree. I do want to shield the first team basically for as long as possible. Obviously, I want them to be match fit by the time it comes to the season, but there's still plenty more opportunities for that, really. It doesn't feel that long, really, since last season ended, and obviously we're going into this season. Players like Richarlison, as you mentioned, Luca T, they don't need desperately to play loads of games in pre-season. We know their qualities. I think these early couple of games pre-season will be a chance for Ancelotti to, well, Brands to put them in the shop window, Ancelotti to find out whether players like Kenny can fit into the system. And Nkunku, yes, I probably do want to see him at some point. I'm sure the club probably will as well, because, as you mentioned, Branthwaite is obviously given a great option at centre-back, where the club probably thought, well, they knew they had to spend money, really. They were looking to spend 30 million on Gabriel. Now we've got a player like Branthwaite. Maybe they're not as quick to sign a centre-back with other priorities in the squad. It might be the same for Nkunku, test him out against lower league opposition. If he can hold his own, they might then think, okay, left back isn't a priority. We can focus. Then if something comes available, we could potentially move on there. I'm sure that'll be the same for a bunch of players in the squad. Obviously, I probably want to see Moise Kean. I want to see what he can do, really. Obviously, he's had that summer that kind of Calvert-Lewin had when he's worked a lot on his physical attributes, come back, being a very good player. But I think this game, especially the first one back, should be an opportunity for youth players, fringe players, see what any of them can do. We know the fringe players are going to be sold, but it's now a matter of, how much are they going to be sold for? We need clubs to be interested in them. It's quite easy for people to go, oh, we need to sell Besic and Delph and then, sign two centre midfielders. At the end of the day, if no one's interested in them, you can't really move them on. So you have to show them in games like this. But that's kind of my thoughts on the game. Players like Anthony Gordon, give them a couple of minutes, but not loads again. If you're going to be testing the youth players, it should be players like Ellis Sims that we haven't seen in the first team. Players like Gibson. It'll be interesting, I definitely think, going into this season, what kind of role Lewis Gibson now plays. As you mentioned, he was definitely the fourth almost choice centre-back. He's then gone out on loan. And then obviously because of the extension of the year, he stayed out on loan because Fleetwood were in the playoffs in League One. And then Branthwaite's come in when we've needed a centre-back, and he's obviously done ridiculously well. So it'll be interesting to see what role those two kind of play in pre-season. But as you mentioned, you can never really tell. I mean, the 22-0 game, I mean, Nias scored a hat-trick, Morales scored a hat-trick. You can't actually figure out what's really going to go on in any of these games. But that's mainly my thoughts. Terry, have you got anything to kind of add before we round off this video? Because there's not too much to be spoken about, obviously.
No, not really specific to the game. It's just, you'd always hope that you'd have a good pre-season, because it's the foundation your season's built on. And fitness, the fitness that sees you through the season is built up now, and obviously it's not going to be the same because we've not gone abroad, we've not got as long, to get the cardio, sort of stamina up and what have you. There's a reason, like we've had previous managers and we've looked knackered and in games throughout the season. Like Carlo Ancelotti, I don't think was happy with the fitness of the team when he took over, so that's probably something he's going to focus on. He said, he said this week that they've installed a sand pit at Finch Farm to do some work there to build up core strength.
I haven't seen that.
Well, apparently it has happened, but apparently it was something that the Ancelotti's team introduced at Real Madrid, and it helped players like Luka Modric. So if it can do that for the players like that, then hopefully it can help a few of our players as well.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing kind of monetarily that we're not going for that kind of abroad pre-season tour. There were rumours we were going to America. Obviously that's not going to happen. But also we've seen in games like that, the 22-0 was a waste of time. Under the Koeman kind of era, that was even more ridiculous than the 2 60-minute games, wasn't it? We played like back-to-back games, and he was rumoured, he was fuming about that as well. And we clearly, sometimes our pre-season schedules don't work. We go into the season not fully sharp, or maybe, we go in with injuries, like Delph was injured before he practically walked in the door last year, which is kind of what you expect from a player like that. Obviously, we'll be staying, around the north of the country. We really won't be going that much further. Ancelotti clearly, as you mentioned, he wants to improve his fitness. Obviously, we saw when Duncan Ferguson came in, the players were shattered after, obviously they had that brilliant performance against Chelsea, then went to United, looked tired but still did well, then played Arsenal in possibly the worst game of football I've ever watched in my life. I mean, the players looked flat out there. Clearly, they weren't ready for the 4-4-2, the pressing game that clearly Ancelotti also wants to implement. So we'll have to see how that goes. Obviously, let us know all your thoughts about this game down in the comments below. Are there any players you particularly want to have a look at? Whether it's Balassi, whether it's John Joe Kenny in the new role, whether it is a player like Nkunku. Thanks to Terry for joining me. Obviously, let's look ahead now to the start of the season. As I mentioned, all the player reviews done. Be sure to check out all of those on the channel. New season starting now. Let's hope we can get some business done. As I mentioned, as me and Terry mentioned, we're not bothered about the result, but hopefully we do gain some sort of insight into the squad coming up on Saturday. Be sure to check out all the social media. Check out the live stream that Cam and John did yesterday. Kind of went into Alan and Decore in a lot more detail. Kind of spoke about the pros and cons of signing them. So definitely check out that video. We've got daily AFC 24/7 reports going up, so definitely check out them as well. As I mentioned, let's hope for something interesting happening on Saturday. Obviously, not too much to be gained from the game. Thank you very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.